mean it no harm. Beats all you never saw. Been in trouble with the law since the day they was born.
So we're back. Today I got a great friend of mine, RJ Savage. He's a Middle Tennessee native. We've probably been friends since what, 2000? When did you win the Hub City?
Up City, 15 or 16.
So, and we probably known each other what, 2, 3 years before that?
Yeah, yeah.
So long time friendship. And then when I moved here to Nashville, like I said, RJ's lived here for hell most of his life, as far as I know, and we just kind of re-hit it back off from when I was living in West Tennessee, and if I would come up here for a show or things like that, or social media, we would catch up and things like that. But since living here, hell, RJ came to our last house when we lived in downtown Nashville, and like I said, between the fitness industry, cars, now RJ's fixing to have a new baby that is going to have a very cool name, Rain. Um, and his new wife, I say new, but she's putting on a show, so we're all kind of like intertwined in with the fitness industry and the things that we like, and Middle Tennessee, and just lots of friends and so forth like that. But yeah, him and I have been talking about being on here for quite a while. RJ's got some big ideas that him and I have been talking about, and things that we want to capitalize on. And I thought, what better than to talk about it, you and I, and just be able to have a recollection of us talking about that, and not just like, hey, us sending texts on the phone and talking. So, RJ, I want you to give a little background of your maybe a little bit about your story, and and catch us up to where we are now, and then we'll move forward.
Yeah, so my name's RJ Savage. I'm a classic physique bodybuilder.
IFBB pro.
Yeah, pro. IFBB pro. Yeah, man, me and Turner, we go back quite a ways. We've always, supported each other through, social media in the bodybuilding industry, and that's where we kind of really hit it off at. Kind of grew up the same way too. Just blue collar, hard working boys. Both of us worked for our dads. I was in the asphalt. Yeah, just a little back on me, man. Like, my younger years was just wild, man. I was into drugs and the wrong crowds a lot, man. And the shorter version is basically, my 3 strikes came up, and I was looking at a lot of prison time for some stupid stuff, man, for armed robbery. This was in Florida, so definitely not the state to get in trouble with guns either. But that was, I'm 38 now. That was when I was 20 years old. And for me, man, beliefs, is everything. And I believe in God, and I believe He had a bigger plan for me in my life. And when I was able to, I wouldn't say beat going to prison, but basically I was on a probation for 5 years, strict probation. So if I violated, I was going to prison for those 10 years. And right when I was able to come home, and they transferred me from Florida back to Nashville, is when I found out about my firstborn daughter, who is 18 now and heading off to college next month, man. Heading off to UT to go to college in Knoxville. And then, yeah, like Turner said, I got another one on the way, another girl. So definitely girl dad. Nova Rain Savage is her name. She'll be here on Turner's birthday, October 11th. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me, man. There's a whole lot more to me, but basically, me and Turner wanted to get together, and we see eye to eye on a lot of things, and how we were raised, and what we think, the men are these days versus what they were before, and it's kind of gone away, as
Yeah.
you say.
One thing that nobody knows, like he said, so my daughter's name is Rain. His daughter coming up will be named Rain. My significant other's name is Whitney. His wife's name is Whitney. So it's all kind of come full circle, I guess you would say. And like he said, we go back. We got a lot of things in common. We've talked about some sort of like gathering amongst, I I don't know if you would call it like-minded people, but him and I being like-minded, we've talked about, there's a lack there of um, what we like to think men should be today. And so RJ and I have been tossing around this idea. Well, I know Whitney puts on, is that a woman's retreat?
Yeah, yeah. My wife Whitney, she hosts women's retreats.
So what do they talk about?
So she teaches women basically how to walk in their full strength. Figure out what their purpose here on earth is, and just everything from business to relationships to um, basically how to align yourself, with the goals that you have in your life, and that all comes from like full circle of like relationships, business wise, friends, everything.
Who you surround yourself with?
Yeah. So she basically, I mean, it gets deep. I mean, she has them write their eulogy straight out the gate, man. So, at the end of it, when your time's up, what are they gonna say about you?
Right.
So yeah, that's what she does. And just women empowerment, man. Her story is a great story as well. You can check that out. Her name's Whitney Weiser Savage, but Whitney Weiser, her page on Instagram. Just a little short. She was ran over by a boyfriend 12 years ago and almost killed her. And so after that, basically she just wants to help women in all ways, but even relationships, people are in toxic relationships. She wants to be able to help in that way as well. So all around, just help women become the best version of themselves.
Yep. And so basically, with that being said, him and I have tossed around the idea of how to create a brand and how to create culture, a community of the same thing, but with men. And so today, him and I are going to toss some ideas of what that's going to look like. We've got some notes of what we've been talking about and what we've been thinking, like retreat style, as far as maybe go to um, uh, a secluded area or an island or something like that. Something to just you're out of your comfort zone or your area, whatever you want to call that. And so that gives you that time and that peace to be able to really, really that time to just focus on what the person is you want to be. And then ultimately you have to write that down and you have to like make a commitment to that and kind of start living by that, it's kind of like some people will make some notes and they'll put that on their bathroom mirror. That way they have to see that every morning. You know what I mean? And then you kind of hold yourself accountable to those things. And so, yeah, like that's kind of what, and what's it going to be called?
Man up.
Man up.
Man up.
Now tell me more.
So basically, from all the things that I've been through, and a lot of this was in my younger years, man. So I've got a lot of wisdom and just want to share with men that being a man isn't just being tough. It's not just being a badass. It's not there's a time and place for that, right? You need to be able to flip the switch on, and you need to be know when to keep it off, and then that just stems from how what it's like being at home with the wife, with the girlfriend, what kind of man you are then, what kind of man you are in business, what kind of man you are as a friend, what kind of man you are, as whatever, as a bodybuilder, like all that. And basically, just help men like be comfortable with speaking and talking and opening up and not being too prideful and trying to keep it all in, because that used to be me, and I'm sure you could probably attest to that. Maybe used to be you too, and then still some of it today as well. Like I'm still learning as well, but just want to get together with with a group of great guys that honestly want to be a better man. And there's lots of men out there that probably don't really even know like what they want to do in life still to this day in their 30s and their 20s. It doesn't even matter how old you are. This is just about like getting together and so that we can all help each other, basically walk, in their purpose as a man and just, be able to just share stories to where we can motivate someone, that, might just take one conversation for them to, something click, man. And, they can start going down the path that they're supposed to go down.
I think like all this is like really really deep, like you said,
It
and
is.
I don't think
Yeah.
a lot of people think of it like that because most people think like, well, my dad he worked in a plant, you know, and my mom's either she worked at a bank or she stayed home and and kept the kept the house clean, cook food and stuff like that. So like society is going to repeat itself, and yeah, I call this like the entrepreneur era because you know we're sitting here and I've had multiple people on here and like we talk about all the extra things that we can do that are going to make us that are going to set us apart, that are going to make us more money, that are going to I say make us more successful, which you know that's a double-edged sword, but at the end of the day, you got to be around those people to 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 open your eyes that way that way you're not just like and I'm not saying anybody's dad's wrong or anything, but like most I can't even say most, but like a lot of people's dad worked one job and then came home and sat on the couch and he was tired from working all day. And then now you have people that they work multiple jobs. They've got they're running a side business from their phone. And then when life shuts off at 5:30, then they have to pick up this extra job that's making them more money. And then you have a significant other who's kind of doing the same. I know that I do and you do too. So like we're kind of writing the rules and the book as we go because my parents didn't live like that. My parents still don't live like that. My parents probably live like yours do, where one of them makes significant amount of money, and then the other one kind of just has something to pay bill money or play money and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, and I think all this kind of wraps back into fitness, which is one of the big things that him and I always kind of fall back on is because if I'm and yes, he's right. Like most men, I think most men think of men as being tough, and I know I'm a victim of that because like I'm that guy that I don't tell anybody anything. I don't share anything because I feel like that's looked at as weak, probably amongst men. Women don't think that, but I don't know. Sometimes you know, there's still certain things I don't think you should tell a woman. Maybe not tell them, but like you don't tell them everything. And I don't mean like relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got to be open, but like there's certain things she goes and tells her girlfriends that she might not tell you, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But ultimately, we're trying to get a crowd together of guys that like, you know, and the thing is, we're not experts in any of this as far as being a man, business, um, or you know, faith or any of those things. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get a community of guys together that maybe one guy he's well ahead of everybody in business. He can share. You know, he can at least share his story.
Yep.
Then you got somebody who's walked down this crazy bad path and he can share his story, but now he's on a new path and he can tell you what that if you go this way, what that's going to look like. And then so we've basically got all these walks of life coming together with the sole purpose of trying to make everyone better and trying to like really you know level everyone up. It's not that anybody is better or has more money or makes more money or you know is a bigger believer. It's just that like when you're around those people, they say iron sharpens iron, or you know, if you hang out with if you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas.
Yeah.
And it's probably a lot what happened with your bad situation. You know what I mean? I know that there was a
Absolutely.
time in my life where I was hanging out with the wrong guys, and you know, hell, we went to fucking jail. You know what I'm saying? So, watch out, I don't want that fault. But so ultimately, we want to be the exact opposite of that. The exact opposite of that. We want to let people know that like hey if you're trying to be successful hey if you're having relationship problems or maybe you just want to talk to somebody and like let them know everything that you're thinking like I mean it's a little bit of this a little bit of my job and a little bit of his job is like being a therapist in general. So I do feel like I got a little bit of a I didn't go to school to be a therapist, but as long as I've been coaching and helping people it just kind of works out that way.
It does. Yeah.
But yeah, so we're not going to take a whole lot of time and talk about those things, but like, how many people are you thinking?
I'm thinking, you know, first one, probably keep it between 10 to 15 at the most, man. That way, because we want to be able to get a lot of one-on-one time with everybody, man. And just like I said, this isn't about saying like that we're more men, more manly than any other men out there, but just give guys a good, safe place to be able to come to. They want to grow in whatever area of their life, that they want to grow in. And if it's all areas, that's even better. So yeah, just like Turner said, you are who you surround yourself with, right? So I mean, if you hang around millionaires, eventually you'll be a millionaire, because guess what? People at the top, the right people, they want to get you up to the top too. So they're willing to put the ladder down there for you to bring you up. So, the biggest thing that's happened to me, since meeting my wife, honestly, is the circle of friends that's around, other than a few like me and Turner. We don't hang out every day. We didn't hang out, most of our relationships basically been through phone.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Like, and we can not talk and then, talk and just pick up like it wasn't nothing. But just give men a place to be able to come to learn, to grow, also to have a good time, like wherever this location is, in the country, outside of the country. Just throwing a place out there that's a thought, Tulum, they got a cool gym out there that everybody likes to go to on vacation, right? Like, this is going to be a retreat where we go and we're going to be eating good, healthy food, right? You're going to be nourishing the body. We're going to have quiet time. We're going to have whiteboarding sessions where we talk about things. And yeah, like anybody and everybody will get to share their story. Everybody has a story. We all have a story, right? And so nobody's is better than the others. And whether you believe your story can impact and help somebody or not, it can. Trust me, because I didn't believe that my story could help anybody. Honestly, I thought I'd be judged by it, by talking about it. But the first time I shared my story was on a private island that is my wife's best friend's island, who does the same thing. She hosts retreats. And these are retreats for all different things, not just women. But, I'm one of the coaches for the Strength Summit that's on that island. And basically me and my wife are. And we teach people that health is wealth. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're not healthy, you're not going to be around to spend it.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, we just want to give a place for men to be able to really learn as much as they can, so that they can take whatever they got from that and just, go on with their life, and they can help others. And this isn't just going to be, a one-time deal. This is something that we plan on, trying to do, maybe twice a year, if not three, just depending on how good they go. But, it's just really men that really want to grow, man, and just, step back and take a look at your life and where you're at today. And does it check the boxes? Is it where you want to be? And if it's not, then we need to start making choices and decisions that's going to get you where you need to be. And if that's pulling friends away that, that you're hanging out with, yeah, they can still be your friend, but sometimes you just got to, pull back and keep them a friend from a distance, because they're not going where you're trying to go.
That's right.
So
I think I've always kind of been outspoken, right? But I wasn't always the guy that would just walk up to someone and just like ask them a question. So that's one thing that I've gathered from, well, I didn't get that from Whitney, but what I picked up from Whitney, and the one thing that I really don't like about today is how you got women trying to, it's not that women shouldn't empower women and men shouldn't empower men, but it's almost like they're going in the opposite direction. When I do think that a good, and I'm not taking this back 30 or 40 years. Like relationships have evolved, like I said, used to your mom stayed home and that's what your dad wanted her to do. And he's just going to go make all the money. And then when he came home, it was like he's going to take his shoes off, kick his feet up, and mom was just going to kind of like do whatever he wanted him to, make him a sandwich and shit like that. Like, I'm not going to say you can't get rich like that, but like nowadays, I do think a woman, like when you have a woman or a significant other that's like motivated,
right.
Like she wants to go out and make money. You know what I mean? And she wants to like, it's not one up you, but like you're kind of working in syncly together.
Two's better than one.
Two incomes is definitely better than one.
For sure.
And so I do think that like when you got two people who are equally motivated, you're gonna bump heads and you're gonna like have differences. And Whitney and I have that a lot. And but at the end of the day, I know she's out there motivated, and she knows I'm out there motivated. It's not like she has to like wake me up out of bed and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think that I wish that these couple things could like bring people closer together versus like making men like just want to be more with men and women just more with women, because I feel like it's kind of biting us in the butt. But that's a whole nother story. I do think that like on the man up, fitness and health should be a huge it should be a huge bullet point because I know when I eat clean, I feel better. I know when I'm eating clean, I'm having better workouts, and I know that when I'm having great workouts, I'm having good days.
Yep.
You know, I'm gonna have bumps in the road, or I'm gonna have a shitty day, but at the end of the day, like if I'm gonna go train, that's gonna clear the day up. You know what I mean?
For
Like
sure.
that's just the
It
way I
is.
look at it.
No, it's yeah.
Every day that I work out,
It's a highlight of the day.
exactly. And then like so when you've had a highlight of the day, you know, a workout, and then you go into a meeting, you're on your shit, so to speak. Like you're going into this meeting confident. You're going into this meeting you know, feeling good about yourself. And so I just think that if we can wrap all these things up, if we can bring guys that are you know, extraordinary in business, if we can bring guys in that are extraordinary in health and fitness, if we can bring guys in, you know, ministers, things that like all this stuff ties back in, and when one starts getting neglected, it kind of shows in the others.
Mhm.
And so, like I said, this is just something him and I have been talking about, and there's still a lot of stuff that's got to go on behind the scenes for him and I to make this all possible. But you know, if number one, if you're listening to this and this sounds like something you're interested in, you know, speak up, drop us a comment, send us a message, and we would love to hear what you have to say. Maybe hear your story. Maybe you can be one of the guys that we have come in and talk. You know, like RJ's got a story. We know you got a story too. So like I said, you know, it probably feels like, I don't know if I want to put myself out there like that. But this is the one thing that I'm saying. If you don't put yourself out there like that, you're always gonna be the guy that wishes he would have. You know, you're gonna see somebody out there who did put themselves out there,
Mhm.
and you're gonna be like, damn, man, that you know, he's in a cool spot. I wish I was there. Well, he went out and put himself. He went out on a limb and put himself out in a position to be judged or to be, you know, hated on or whatever that may be. And like,
Yeah.
there's all that's going to happen. Like, you're going to have haters, you're going to be judged. But at the end of the day, like, do you have a purpose, and are you trying to make a change?
Exactly.
That's the thing. Like, I'm trying to make a change. I want people that follow me and people that surround me and the people that I surround to be the guys that are doing extra, they're going the extra mile. That way, like, so when I call some of these people that I'm talking about, like, when I pick up the phone and I'm talking to them, like, I know the things that they're telling me, like, they're gonna go the extra mile. You know, when he's telling me about this business deal that he's talked up in his head, I'm like, I know he's not gonna cut any corners on that. You know what I mean? And so, like, when I want to have these conversations with him, because he's going to shed light on things with me that are going to teach me something.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? If you're always the biggest guy in your pond or at your gym, you're not really learning anything.
No.
And so that's kind of what in a nutshell, we want to bring a bunch of big fish together into a little pond of people. I don't know if that sounds right or not, but like we want to bring a bunch of people together that want to learn and grow from a bunch of people that do know or don't know. And the thing is, everyone's going to have their strengths and their weaknesses. So like, if I can give him a little bit of some nuggets, he can give me some nuggets. We're both getting better, and that's all this comes down to. So,
Yeah.
like I said, there's more that we need to talk about to that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be talking more about that, and you know, timing wise and what that looks like, and you know, planning for that next year, probably around, you know, fall time, something like that. But yeah, there'll definitely be more information about that, you know, sooner than later. And me and Turner get together and kind of get all these things lined out, man. And then before you know it, you know, we'll have it all ready for you guys to check it out, man. And you know, if it's something you know, you think that you're interested in wanting to do, man, definitely reach out to us even before then. And yeah, if you got something you want to share, you know, you don't have to wait. You can hit us up now, man. Love to hear anybody's story, man. And either one of us, man. If we can be there for you in any way, definitely reach out and let us know.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. Like with me, I've hit this this point in my life where I really only want to hang around people that I can learn and gather from. And so, it's not that I don't like those people that, you know, didn't have that same energy, but the energy that I'm at right now with the momentum that I have going, those are the people that I want to be around. Those are the people that I'm going to go out of my way to surround myself with. And so, if I'm kind of pulling away from you, maybe you should get the hint.
Man up.
Man up. I like the name of that. RJ came up with that. So that, we're gonna kind of transition into some other things, but we definitely wanted to make that a big bullet point on some of the things we're talking about. I want to hear what you think about having an 18-year-old and then having a newborn.
Man, it's wild, man. You know, 18 years ago, man, when I was 20 years old, like I said, and finding out I had a daughter, man, she was 6 months old when I found out about her. And um, I didn't even have to have anything to do with her, man. But I wasn't raised that way. And of course, I stepped up. Um, but I also didn't step up. I was 20 years old. I didn't have a clue what to do with a kid, man. And, here I am. I just, I say lucky for me. I got all the wild and crazy partying and all that crazy stuff out of the way in my teen years. And so, being a dad at 20 years old, man, getting just, the basic time that a father gets in the state of Tennessee, once during the week and every other weekend. I didn't have patience then, man. I didn't. I loved her. I loved my daughter to death, and loved her, but like I couldn't be alone with her, by myself for a certain amount of time because, of crying. I didn't know what to do. I might get frustrated. And, thankfully I had, my parents and, my sister and, lots of support, to help. And, I just, I wasn't the greatest dad. And I own that. And I've had a talk with my daughter about this just recently, just to make sure that she knew that, no matter what, and if there was times that I missed things and, wasn't there, or this and that, or however I was, no matter what, that I always loved her. And that there was nothing that she ever did or anything, that I wanted her to feel bad about, right? But I've always just had this, this part in me deep down that like I knew I was a better father than the way I was, man. And I struggled with that for years. And even struggle with it today still. And it's one of the things I continue to pray for is a better relationship with my daughter. We don't have a bad relationship. But I want it to be closer. She's an adult now, what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that I'm, trying to man up on and be better at as well. And now, knowing that I have another one that'll be here, in less than 3 months, the goal is to be super dad, man. Like be the dad that I always dreamed of and saw myself being, be the dad that my dad was to me and my sister. And to show my oldest daughter the dad that I, always wanted to be, because I'm gonna have this one full time, and so it's gonna be a whole different ball game. But I'm ready for it, and I'm super excited, man, and just super thankful. And I just it still blows my mind because like I never thought, at being 38 that I'd be starting, all over again, having another kid. But I totally believe she's a miracle, and God put her in our lives at the perfect time for for a reason. And our relationship, me and my wife's, was great before, and now it's even stronger than ever, man. I mean, I love that woman. I can't even describe it, So I'm super excited, man, for Nova Rain to get here and just be the best dad that I can be, man.
Well, being a dad, especially to a newborn, will make your ass man up. I mean, I didn't know. I'm probably one of the most selfish people I know, and so Whitney and I were in a committed relationship and things like that. And then, obviously you get pregnant and you have a child. And I was in the middle of prep. Well, no, let me see. She was born in August, September, October, November. So my show was either in November or December. And so, like I'd already been prepping when Rain was born. And so, there's a lot of things that I probably didn't do, even just leading up into Whitney being pregnant, like I'm not the most I would say loving, like compassionate and things like that. So especially and when you're in prep, like you try to block all those emotions out because like that's kind of weakness, it's kind of the same thing you talked about. Yeah. And I always try to like I always try to like think of myself as the guy that's like tough, who doesn't need a pat on the back and doesn't need to be comforted and things like that. Like I'm got this. I'm a man. I'm strong. But your woman probably does need that, especially when she's carrying around a baby, and they go through all these different hormonal feelings and body changes and all the things that men don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
So
We got it easy.
I mean, for sure, we don't have to breastfeed, we don't have to give birth, but like, so when you do get to that point to where you're going to be a child, or you're going to be a father to a child, it's the one thing I say all the time is like, I have this new respect for my parents for putting up with all the shit that I put them through, and then brothers and sisters behind me. But like, even having multiple children at one time, dude, that's really tough. Like we have one, and some days we're just like, what the fuck, man? Like what's her deal? You know what I mean? Like, why won't she listen, or why won't she just take a nap, or things like that? And then you think about a family that's got 3 children or 4 children or anything like that. It's just, for instance, like we drop her off at daycare, school, whatever, and there's like 13 in her class, and sometimes Whitney and I are like, we're scratching our head why she won't act a certain way. But like, can you imagine being a teacher to 13 of those little shitheads at one time? I can't.
That takes a whole different.
Yeah, and then like I said to him, like being a girl dad, of course every man wants a son, so you can make him tough, and you can give him chores and show him what your dad showed you and things like that. But like when you realize you're gonna have a girl, there's nothing you can do other than just embrace it and try to be the best father you can. Where it's like, I didn't really even know. Like I have a sister, and I have a dad who was a great dad and things like that, but it's just totally different when you pick this child up and it's yours, and now you have to be responsible for it. You have to be, you have to teach her to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am, thank you, and just, I think the biggest thing is just to teach her respect. Like,
Yeah.
Now she's learning like, yes, ma'am, thank you, and she's doing those things, and it feels really good when she's like, thank you, daddy, or
Yeah.
whatever, and it's like, damn, And she's only 2. Like, I don't think I picked up on that shit till I can remember my dad pounding that in my head when I was like way older than 2.
Yeah.
Almost 3. But
Respect. Yeah.
respect and then work ethic. I mean,
Yeah.
those are the 2 things I really want my children to know. Whitney would say love, but like, I'm sure your Whitney would say love too. And I think that that's a big thing, but I want them to be respectful more than anything. I don't really have a whole lot of advice when it comes to being a girl dad. I just like, it's just going to change everything about you as a man. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it just,
You
you've got one that's 18.
Yeah, you have. I mean, it will. Having a girl, man, being a girl dad, it'll give you a soft spot
Yeah.
in a good way.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to.
Yeah.
It's not your son. It's not a boy. You can't. You gotta love. You gotta love a girl, man, and have that soft spot for her. You know what I'm saying? It's just different. I don't even know how to explain it because I don't have a son.
Well, I'll put it to you like this:
Go
like I've never been like super lovey dovey with a girlfriend,
Right.
and even with Whitney, like, and so I know she feels weird about it too, because like Rain walks in, I'm like, "What's up?" And I'm like, I want to hold her, I want to kiss her, I want to like
Yeah.
pick her up, and like I've never been that way towards a girl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even Whitney.
Yeah.
And so she's like, you can do that naturally with her, but you're not like that
That's
with
right.
me.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, it's just different. Like,
I was that way, man. That's the thing. Like, I mean, straight up, dude. Like I was that guy. I was the tough guy. I didn't show love, man. Like I was cold. Like if you hurt my feelings, you didn't know you hurt my feelings. Like
Right.
I wasn't gonna let you know that. Like,
absolutely.
that was, like you don't get to know that. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? But I'm gonna remember that.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I didn't have compassion, man. I wasn't a touchy feely, intimate man. But those are things that I didn't want to be that way. I wanted to be,
Tough.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I realized like, well, that ain't working, like women don't yeah, they do want a tough man back then. These
Right.
days it's different, but
Yeah.
like they want a tough man, but they want a man, that can be compassionate, that can, they can hold their hand, that can, be sweet, in front of, other men, and have that side to them, and so that was something that I really wanted to work on because, you know, uh, in order to have the way I look at things in relationship wise is like if you write down man or woman, whatever it is that you're looking for in that person, so the type of woman that I want, in order for me to be able to get that woman, I need to become the type of man that deserves that type of woman. So that was honestly something that I was working on for years, and through next relationship, because a lot of my relationships I wasn't in a lot, but they were long term, 4 or 5 years.
Right.
And crazy enough, man, I've never even shared this, but um, every time that we split up, it was my fault, and they would leave me, and the next person they found, they ended up marrying,
Right.
right? And so I always just wanted to be better, and be a better partner for whatever woman that next was going to be.
Yeah.
And and then basically, man, like Whitney, I was praying for everything that she is, and vice versa. I mean, she wrote it down in her eulogy, everything other than RJ Savage described me to the T of what type of man she was going to spend her life with. And here we are. So
Right.
like that's something to be said. Like, write down, like just like everything we were just talking before about the retreat, like learning, like you don't know what you don't know, but like someone can teach you, hey, like if this is the type of person that you're looking for, this what type of person do you need to become to be able to find and track that person? Where do you need to be hanging out? Who, stuff like that.
Man, I think I never thought I would meet Whitney. And I don't mean like her in general, but like the woman that, like I guess you call it like the girl version of me.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I would meet that just because I was like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to do this. And I was like, I'll probably never meet that. And then now that I've met her, like I've met my match, so to
Give you a run
speak,
for your money.
for sure.
Yeah.
Every fucking day.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's like, there's a lot of times where you're like, I mean, like in the relationships that you've been in where it's kind of like you just say something, it's like, that goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they were just like, okay, whatever. But like, Whitney will say something and I'll have something to say back. And then if I say something back, she's got something to say back. And it's not like, yeah, sometimes it can get toxic and sometimes we can yell and argue and nitpick
each other.
and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
like, I think, man, the biggest thing about finding someone that you want to be with is like, it's kind of like this. This is the way I try to describe it. And I don't know that this is right or not, but you remember like when you would play Madden and you would create a player,
Mm-hmm.
you would get like 10 points and you had stamina, you had tackle strength, you had speed,
Yeah.
and you had like one other. But like you could make them as fast as they want as all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like they
If
couldn't
they don't have
tackle
those other
shit.
things though.
Right.
Exactly.
So like you got like looks, you got all
the outside
these
stuff.
things. Yeah, and it's like, so when you're building this woman that you want, it can't be maxed out on every single one, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way, in earlier years dating, all you cared about was looks.
For
You know what I
sure.
mean? Like
For sure.
she's got a cool body and all
Yeah.
the looks. Like
That's all you
what
cared
else could I
about.
want?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as you grow up, and that's the thing, like that's the one thing that I notice about myself is from when Whitney and I started dating 5 years ago to where I am now or we are now, like I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't stopping bodybuilding for anything, and I haven't stopped bodybuilding for her. I put bodybuilding on hold for like all these big stepping stones that I've took on to make our life better.
For sure.
Be a better dad, try to man up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't look at it as manning up. I just looked at it as like, I've always looked at it as like I'm writing this book that's going to have a ton of chapters, and I want each chapter to be better than the next chapter. So like when I start making $100,000, I want to make $150,000 the next year. I'm just using money for example. But if you get down that rabbit hole of just chasing money, then you start neglecting some of these other things. And
Exactly.
And that's, I've done that. My rabbit hole for a long time was bodybuilding, and I neglected all the other things.
I did too.
Relationships, you know, some money, things like that. And so now I'm kind of like, now all my eggs aren't in one basket anymore. I got a bunch of baskets. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right.
I look at it as like, the way I live my life now is like, I'm out fishing, I'm catfishing, and I got like 10 poles out. You know what I mean? And so now I'm just trying to see what's getting a
No bait on
bite.
each one. Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me ask you a question. Would you be where you're at today if it wasn't for bodybuilding?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But
Why? What's the one word that you would use to describe just in general, like why you are who you are today?
I would say it's either
It could be two.
the word. It's a combination. It's a combination of like some of the things I saw growing up, and then well, I think that's what it all comes down to. I don't know. Maybe my past. Like the reason I am where I am today is because I lived this extremely blue collar life where my family and their parents, lived that blue collar life where you have enough money to buy your cigarettes and put gas in the car to get to work the rest of the week until you get paid, and then by the time your bills are paid you only got about $250 left. I don't know how much they had left, but you know what I'm saying? Like
Check.
just enough to like maybe go watch a movie, maybe, get a new pair of shoes, and then it was like, fuck, we're struggling again.
Yeah.
Mom was taking out credit cards to be able to buy Christmas, or putting shit on layaway in like March to buy me something for Christmas and shit like that. And so like I saw all that, and my mom always worked. And then when I got in high school, my dad always worked. And it was like, so the whole work ethic thing I get naturally. And and again, like I just saw all the bad mistakes, but
It motivated you to want better for yourself, and you were not going to settle for that.
exactly. I wasn't. I say bad mistakes, but that's another thing that like goes back with the man up. Like, we're not taught how to manage money. Your parents don't teach you how to. My dad taught me how to balance a checkbook. My dad taught me who Dave Ramsey was. My dad taught me like living way below your means.
For sure.
So that's one thing I attribute to my dad that he did teach me. But like most of these kids, they're like, well, you got to go to college, and we don't have the money to send you to college, and you're gonna have to drive the car that you got through high school to college. If it breaks down, you have to have a job. You know what I'm saying? So like,
No information.
there was no guidance, no real good guidance for most people today. And I think that like we can change all this if we start focusing on some of the really important things like discipline. I think discipline's one big thing. Like I was disciplined. Like I was still a hard-headed ass child.
Right.
And I always, like my dad would say, don't touch the stove. I always touch the stove anyway.
Right.
I had to do it a couple times to realize I was going to get burned.
Yeah.
But like as I grew up, like that discipline factor carried with me to where it's like now these things are just burnt into my brain. You do it like this. You give a man your word. You show up on time. If any of those things. And so, I always kind of one of my buddies, he's no longer with us, but he always said, love don't keep the lights on. And this is why I think my relationships have kind of been the way they did, where they just fizzle out and I got old or whatever. Cause like, I always looked at it as like us being in love's not paying the bills. You know what I mean? So like, I'm going to go work regardless. If you're with me or not, I'm going to go work. I'm going to make this money. And so, but nowadays you got a good woman who she's motivated and she's driven and she feels loved. She's going to go out and hustle just as hard. So then the lights are on. You know what I mean? Because you're loving her, you're giving her what she needs, she's giving you what she needs, and like
y'all's goals align.
Exactly.
For the bigger picture.
Yeah, and so like even like when Wendy and I got into this relationship, I wasn't about aligning goals. Yeah, we talked about some big goals, but like I was on my path.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so over time, we've kind of gotten it narrowed down closer. We're still not 100% on in a line all the time, is what I mean. But
But
like
that's huge for you. Wasn't it?
for sure.
That was a big stepping stone.
Yeah, it still
and
is.
growing for you.
It still is.
Yeah.
I mean, I still mainly struggle with like how to be a good partner. It's not that it's not nothing to do with like cheating or
Right,
just
right,
doing
yeah.
the things that like women want
Yeah.
to be done for them to make
Yeah.
them feel
Yeah,
loved.
the little things. That's all it is, really, with women, man.
Yeah,
Little
but it's a
things.
lot of those.
It is a lot of little things. It is. It is for sure. And and I'm not over here talking like I'm the perfect dude, man, like by any means. But like, it's here's what it comes down to, man. Like relationships, it takes two. But guess what? You can't worry about them. You got to do your part.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what, no matter if they make you mad, no matter how mad they are, make you, how many times they piss you off, like you still got to do the things that you know that you need to do. And that's just point blank it, man. That and communication. Like you have to have the hard conversations, because guess what? The ones that aren't having hard conversations don't last.
Yeah.
The ones that do have the hard conversations, they work through them and they do last.
I think what you just said, hard conversations, is those are, I feel like most of the time the people that are willing to have the hard conversations and not like be passive,
Mhm.
like something happens and you have that hard conversation where you tell them, hey, this made me feel a certain way and this is not going to be acceptable. Most of the time people are just like, well, I'm just not gonna talk to them for 2 or 3 days, and they should understand that they hurt my feelings.
Right. No.
And that I feel like that's just a burden that just builds and builds and builds, and then you start to resent each other.
Absolutely.
And I'm probably that guy where like
I've done that. I've been there many times.
like I would just like I wouldn't say anything until it had built up and built up and built up, and then I would just like say it all. Like
Because you'd expect them to figure it out, and like they should know,
Right.
Because they did it or they said it, like they should know. And then when they don't acknowledge it, yeah, it builds up, and then when it does come out, all of it comes out.
exactly.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah. I mean, I still try not to be guilty of that, but like I also just like I don't like to argue. You know what I mean? Especially
course.
not with someone I live with.
Of course.
Like I don't like to argue with anyone. I mean, you know my standing, my point, but it's just tough. Like I said, these are just all
Yeah.
things that I have to. I'm still working on.
For sure. Yeah, we're always working, man. That's it. That's no different, man. The hustle that you live, your day-to-day life of, your job, your clients, your business things, like the relationships just as it is priority, honestly, because if that's right, if home's right, everything else is gonna flourish too, man.
I agree.
For sure.
So something else we want to transition into. You're gonna have a child,
Mhm.
and then you want to compete next year. What do you think about that?
Yeah, man. So I was kind of, like you said earlier, about where you kind of step back, right? Well, for me, it was kind of, one of those situations too, where, it was like, for me, bodybuilding, it wasn't something that I dreamed of being and doing. The bodybuilding came after all the trouble I got in, when I was like, all right, now I got my last chance. I'm back home. I'm on probation. I got a curfew. What am I going to do with my time besides work? And it was gym. I got into the gym, and that's when my body, started responding, because I was just a little skinny, little athletic kid, man. I was a tiny dude. And so bodybuilding, was what saved my life, honestly, straight up. And so as I started competing, and others telling me, and me, believing and seeing in myself, hey, I could do something with this, right? The goal was to turn pro, like anybody, right? But for me, it wasn't something like that. I didn't see myself, and I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to be the next, blah, 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 and have some big fat check waiting, as soon as I turn pro, and I'm going to be, millionaire, like, not at all. So, it took me 10 years to turn pro, and that was totally fine. I enjoyed the ride. You know what I'm saying? If it happened quick and overnight when I wanted it to, man, then what? No reward, right? Like,
Right.
So I enjoyed it, man. And, once I turned pro, man, like it was, I don't know, it was a little bit of both, man. Like I was super excited. I checked that box off after so long, but at the same time, then it was like, okay, what's next? Right. Because like Yeah, I did have other little goals along those 10 years that I was checking boxes on as well. Business, finances, you know, uh, financially where I wanted to be, a goal, hitting that goal, business wise, hitting that goal, relationship wise, hitting that goal, buying a dream car, hitting that goal. All those other little goals were, important too. But competing at the pro level was like, do I really want to keep doing this? I mean, I'm doing this a long time, and obviously we run gear, right? Now these cats was falling off and this and that, a lot of guys dying and stuff. I wasn't going to just be naive to it, man. So, I was like, man, I'm getting older too. And I want to be around past 50.
Right.
So I was like, you know what? If I compete again, I do. If I don't, I don't. But I'm going to take a step back and really focus on what's really important now. And that was once me and Whitney got together because of the people that she brought me around, man. And it was like, I'm much bigger than bodybuilding. My story is much bigger than me, right? And so what do I need to do now, like to be able to serve other people and to be able to help other people and continue to grow as myself and nothing wrong with bodybuilding, continue to do that at all, nothing wrong with it. But it wasn't that fire wasn't still there, you know what I'm saying? And it's like if I'm not going to be all in, I'm not going to be in at all.
Right.
And I did do my debut last year. Uh, Before our wedding, which timing, like I wasn't thinking us, man, we can do it all, right? It didn't matter. It wasn't the good timing, and then just unfortunately, man, like ended up getting some. Well, it wasn't fake; it just wasn't what it was supposed to be. And so that look, at my debut was the worst look I'd ever looked, and had a scare. After prejudging, almost passed out. I had to take a drop. A lot of people don't even know this, and for me, I wasn't worried about that. I wasn't worried about that show or that placing, that happening, anything. It was like, all right, I need to see what's going on. I need to check boxes. I need to get healthy. And I'd always gotten blood work, but like I took that step back to just totally get healthy and fix everything. I had gut issues for years, digestion issues, like all sorts of stuff, sleep issues. So it was like, enough is enough. I need to take some time and just reset everything. I went to where I was only training 3 days a week and resting 4, and that was actually some of my best workout times and felt my best too. And so honestly, man, I was kind of just going to hang it up. But then once we found out rain was, coming, you know, I was like, you know what? I can't just go out like that, man, with my debut being like that. Like I know what I can bring and what I'm capable of. And, that's why part of me, started working this Tennessee local shows, man. Alan Sizemore, gave me that opportunity to do that
Yeah.
and just give back, man, and be around the younger cats and even the same cats our age that are still trying to climb the ladder, man. And I see them still going and going. And that's just, I love seeing that. I love seeing that, nobody's quit, nobody's giving up because they still, have that fire that they're going to make it happen. And their time's going to come. Everybody's time's going to come. Yours is going to come. You know that. You wasn't worried about that. Your priorities were aligned with what needed to be at that time and this time right now. So, I had this thought in my head like, man, how cool would it be? Me and Whitney never got to compete against, like, with each other, right? She retired back in 17. And before, when we found out she was pregnant, I tried to see if she would compete again with me, and she's like, "Nope, I'm done."
What was her reason for being done?
She made it to the Olympia. That was the big goal. She made it there, and then she wanted to start her own show, an all-female division show. So she did, and so she wasn't gonna compete. Well, then it rained. We found out she's pregnant, and I'm like, babe, how cool would it be? Persuade her. And I'm like, man, Rain gonna ask us, Daddy, Mommy, did y'all ever compete together? We're gonna say no. Like, come on. I kind of put that on. I was like, let's just do one show together. And so, well, I think I got her there. I'm not gonna say for sure. But regardless, yeah, I'm gonna compete again next year. I'm gonna compete again, and I'm not gonna say that I'll compete again after next year or that I won't. I'm basically gonna see how it goes, but the goal is definitely to make it to the Olympia and to qualify. And if I do that, I will hang it up for good, for sure. And if I don't know that I'll compete again. Just, like I said, that's neither here nor there now. Like bodybuilding isn't my life, right? Like other things are. Now I'm, fixing to be 39, man, have another daughter coming. Like I want to be able, to be able to, enjoy life more as she gets older, and make sure that she's taken care of and set, and all those things, like we know there's no money in bodybuilding. We're not going to be the next Nick Walker and have all these, people in checks waiting on us, right? So it's like you spend thousands for a trophy,
Yeah.
right? So while I love bodybuilding, it'll always be a part of me, and I'll always live the lifestyle to an extent. Next year we're going to do a show, and Turner's going to coach me, and we're going to win. And the goal is to make it to the Olympia, and hopefully the wife will compete with me too, and then we'll get to at least tell Rain that we did one show together, and that'll be that. And where it goes from there, we'll see.
Does like I always think about things like this just because of the way social media and the way things are nowadays. Like say she decides to do a show, right? Like in my opinion, well, classic and bikini are kind of like, I'm not gonna say one's better than the other, but I feel like those two are still packing the seats at the shows, right?
For sure.
So like, is there not a way for both of y'all to market that, or at least her to market that? I mean, I know there's a way for you to market that. Look at Chris Bumstead, but like, is there not a way for her to market that to where, took some time off? I've had a child. I know most women think after they've had a child and, whether it's a C-section or whatever, like I'll never look the same. I'll never be able to compete against these girls who have, who don't have children,
Right.
who've got fake boobs and their body's tighter than mine. Like, is there not a way? I mean, she promotes a show. She puts her own show. So like all the people that support her, especially locally, I would think would want to come watch or at least want to see that whole
For sure.
revitalize.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and I know I made that post just recently, not too long, a couple weeks back about it. And I mean, absolutely, man. There's so much support. You would love to see her step back on stage again, and us together actually do a show together.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, she's definitely fired up to flip the switch as soon as the baby gets out, man. Because like any woman, you go from having one body to having this body. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? How she feels. So I know that and she's still working out now. But I know that she's ready to flip the switch, and I can tell you right now, she still got it.
Yeah.
So I know she can get out there and hang with them.
I just like, even for me, I feel like I don't look at me competing as a way to make money. It's just kind of unfinished business,
For sure.
But I'm gonna go to the gym. If I never competed another day, I would still go to the gym with the same intent tomorrow as it was if I was competing for the Olympia.
Yeah.
But like I said, I do know with, I started a YouTube channel and I started promoting myself a lot more on social media just because of like, and this is the way I break it down is, say you run an asphalt business, right? You have to advertise. So whether it's in the yellow pages, whether it's when you walk into a bathroom and on the back of the stall,
Yeah.
like that's advertising that everyone does, and that's advertising that like there's kind of like a layout, and you got to do it like this, got to do it like that. The way I look at what I'm doing is this is advertising that I'm doing it the way I want to, and it's fun, and I could be creative, and I could cuss. I can be myself. Like if you go to if you have a Yellow Pages ad, they're kind of going to tell you what you can and can't do.
For sure.
So
Yeah.
this is my marketing for myself,
Yeah.
the way I want to do it. It comes out of my pocket. Like I can cuss, I can say this, and that, but then also like me competing, there's a lot of people that still believe I will or will not get a pro card one day. And so like, it's not that obviously, like I said, it's unfinished business for me.
For sure.
But there's a lot of people that are going to watch because they were a fan of me before I stopped competing
sure.
at the level that I reached. And so like this is my way of putting it on a platter to them to, be a part of. I mean, like you look at what Nick Walker has created in the last 3 years. Obviously, he's probably the favorite bodybuilder. I don't mean he's everyone's favorite, but I mean like if you think open bodybuilding, you're thinking Nick Walker right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so the way today has been, the way social media and things like that have transpired today, like you don't have to win. You don't have to win Mr. Olympia to make money, to be popular, and I don't do any of this to be popular.
Right.
Like I really don't. Like I said, I'm making, this is kind of like, this is the way I look at my social media is like, it's like if you were going to watch cartoons on Saturday and it's a little bit of like a cartoon, it's a little bit of me you getting to see who I am. It's a little bit of, me getting to present some humor and me trying to teach people at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. And a little bit of like, I do a lot of, we as a family do a lot of really cool things.
Mhm.
I mean, like, there's so much that goes on behind the scenes, like we talked about earlier, that no one even knows.
Right.
And so this is my way of like
Sharing all sides of
doing the man up thing on my own,
Yeah.
where it's like you can be more than the guy that works out, has a daughter, and goes to work. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes with my family, and I'm not the only one, and I'm not special by no means, but we do a lot of cool stuff. And so if I could just show someone 10% extra of the cool things that we do, and like I said, this is on my dime. Nobody pays for this. I'm not sponsored by nobody.
Right.
And there's no handouts being given here. And all these things, all this extra stuff that we do has its downfalls too. So like, when we're talking about relationships, like when you're doing all this extra stuff, this is what I tell Whitney all the time is like, you and I never get any time where it's like, we're not tired. So like, she might be tired and I want to like, let's be intimate or
Yeah.
whatever. She's like, well, she's tired. Well, then she might be intimate. I'm like, I'm fucking tired. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of things, and I'll just say intimate. That's just one of the things. Or like, you want to go on vacation? Well, I got shit going on.
Right.
She wants to go on vacation. Like, she's got the next 3 or 4 days off. I don't, or vice versa. Or Rain's got to do something. So there's a lot of really cool things that and like I said, this is not to brag. This is just to show people that you can live an extraordinary life,
Mhm.
even though it's going to take everything that you got. Like it
For sure.
really does. And so, that's like I said, to wrap it all up, that this is my way of marketing or advertising instead of just being the in the white
bodybuilder.
pages, or like I said, when you sit down in a stall and you shut the door and it's that thing on the back.
Just that one thing.
Yeah, and that doesn't talk, that doesn't have any music behind it. And so like I said, we're learning. Like Jesse and I and Whitney, like we find new things within the social media and all that all the time. So we're always trying to like one up what we're doing.
Yeah.
Which like you do that as a bodybuilder, you do that in business. And so it all kind of goes hand in hand with that. So like I said, with Whitney, I feel like I don't know how old she is, but competing at 40
Yeah.
and then,
Stays.
or I'm not, like I said, I wasn't trying to call
No,
her
yeah,
old or
yeah,
anything,
yeah.
but like competing after a child,
Yeah.
Competing while putting on a show and having a child, all those things. I just think that like, there's so many ways to word it and to sell it if that was the goal.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, that's part, she's going to have part of that, is like, everything's just adding to her story.
Exactly.
Right. And I mean, and just kind of piggyback off what you said, like there's so much more to Turner's life and Turner and Whitney's life than just the bodybuilding gym and the daughter. Like, that's why I always felt that same way too, is because like, so many people, we like to travel, right? And you'd see me, traveling and doing this and that and having fun and still, bodybuilding. And at that one time in my life, it was like, no, you didn't do any of that. It was just like strict bodybuilding. It's like, you can't just live that life. Like you still have to find balance and enjoy other things in life as well. Like you can. Now there is a time you got to flip the switch for sure, by all means. But like I was doing that for myself, mostly for myself, really, because I needed to have those things, those other things, like other than just the gym. But like I also wanted to show people too, like you can still go on vacation and you don't have to be an asshole. You don't have to drink every night. And, you don't have to eat, junk food, and this and that, like every time. Like you can enjoy life still and still be, a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be this just, one lane that you're in. Like, and that's, I don't know, that was kind of part of why, I like sharing some of my story as well. It's just like, there's lots more to RJ than just bodybuilding back then. There's a lot of, I love to golf. I love to anything outdoors, you know what I'm saying? The lake, the beach, whatever. Like, we like to do a lot of fun stuff. Whitney's a little bit more private than me. you know, and that's fine. I don't share everything, but I like to share because I want people to, you know, see that like, hey man, like, you know, you can have fun and still be serious at the same time.
Well, and that's the whole thing. Like with us, it's like we didn't even have cameras in the house to where like we were going to record a not that we are we were but, like she'd record a damn TV show in the house, you know, like the Chrisleys or whatever. And it's like I was like, and even this whole like YouTube thing was where I was like, man, I don't want someone following me around with a camera all the time. I want to live and like I want to do the cool things just because I do them,
Right.
not like
Right.
I'm doing it because
Not
the camera's
for-
on,
exactly.
you know.
Yeah, no, that's different. Yeah. Like,
But at the same time, like I'm wild, I'm hot headed, I say what I think. So the cool thing is like now we do got a
now
camera
you got a
guy.
platform to do that.
Exactly.
And
And
it don't matter
so
what anybody says, you like it or not.
yeah, and they
You
don't have
want
to
to watch it, don't watch it.
exactly.
You do, you do.
Yeah. So one more thing I want to touch on. What about your new car? You like it?
Yeah, it's all right.
How many miles was on it when you got it?
36,000.
I was talking to someone the other day. You know how they're pushing out everything like electric?
Yeah.
Dude, I wouldn't sell that. I would probably never sell that car.
Oh no, that one's staying. I was really just talking to Whitney the other day about it. That soon I'm going to grab something else just to have, because you know apparently no more gas Hellcats and with the miles being down on that, I mean, and that one's in, you know, great condition.
Yeah.
It'd definitely be worth some money.
Well, I just mean like
And then
in
just because
30
the fact
years,
that, like, yeah, there's
700
no
horsepower,
gas.
factory car.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean, like you look at the Mopars today from 30 years ago, 68, 69, like those are some of the high, you know, those are going for $500,000, $250,000. Like, I just think that I was actually talking to someone, like I love all cars and I'm a big Mopar fan, but like, I do think that I'll probably buy one of those just to put up. That way I can have in
Have
30
one.
years
Yeah,
that like, I've got a factory 700 horsepower car,
yeah,
you know, that's
Yeah.
an everyday driver.
yeah,
And like
Yeah.
I said, I'll probably keep it undercover and drive it every now and then, but like,
yeah.
I like collect things, especially cars and stuff like that. So I just think that like in 20 years or 30 years, my daughter's got that, you know, like this was dad's. We rode around in this, you know what I mean? It was kind of, I didn't like getting rid of that Corvette, but I was like, you know, I'm gonna take that money because, I mean, those aren't near as, that car was the value held on it, but not anywhere near like what you're like. What I mean, like your car's a numbered car for the most part,
Right,
but
right.
I just think that in 20, 30 years, that car, you know, when Rain's could potentially be driving that car, it could be worth a lot of money.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like you, man, like I'm a car guy, so uh, that one, I'm definitely keeping that one for sure. And I'll probably get another. You
What do you think you'll get next?
know,
What would you get if you could, whatever it may be?
anything. You know, I thought about that, and I think I've been asked that question before, and a lot of people probably won't even believe me, but honestly, man, I would probably say if it was any other car other than that car, it'd probably be a Porsche.
Like a 911?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, maybe GT3, something like that. But like the Lambos and Ferraris, man, like not just to me. I've driven the like that's way more fun than driving a Lambo. Now, don't get me wrong, the Lambos look good and they sound good, but just getting behind some American muscle that you know you can tear the damn road up in, man. It's just different, you know. And you know that it's like it's just different. But probably yeah, that'd probably be the only other car really that you know I'm just not big into you know the Lambos and Ferraris and stuff. Yeah, they're cool. Oh yeah, I mean they are. They're really cool. But and for us too, I mean they're not comfortable to
No.
be in or to drive.
Right.
You know, and for that amount of money, you know, and I mean that thing right there.
Hold its
hang
own.
with- yeah.
Yeah.
So 4,000. I put 4,000 in that motor. I'm over 1,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
We can get it.
Yeah, I think that obviously they're status symbols, but like, you know, everyone's on this McLaren kick too. I don't even like those.
Those are ugly in my opinion.
It's not that it's ugly. It's just like it's basically just a Lamborghini or an R8,
Yeah, they're
and so
basically.
your car will keep up with all those.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
they consider,
okay, if he walks away from you at 185, we're at 185.
yeah, okay, right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But from getting to 185, you were right there with him.
Right there. Yeah, yeah. And that's the way I look at that too. Like that car new, 90,000, right?
Right.
Versus
When you bought your first one, how much was it? It wasn't. It was. They were like 65.
that first one, yeah,
I mean,
right at
you
like
can't
60.
buy nothing that fast for $65,000.
No,
I mean, you and I ran out my Corvette, and I mean, like going through the gears is one thing, but like once everyone's powers up, you
Yeah.
were walking the dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my car wasn't 65 brand new, but still, like you can't buy anything off the shelf
just got that. No,
for under 100,000.
right. And I mean, yeah, for that kind of money,
And you got a trunk, and it's comfortable. You know what I mean?
like you said, it's a status symbol.
Yeah.
But it's like now it's kind of like it's too much. Everybody is buying a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
Everybody's buying a, McLaren.
Yeah.
And it's just a status thing. And it's like for that amount of money, you can invest in.
For sure. And that's the only
Makes
reason I
sense.
sold mine. Is like I could take that money and I'm gonna invest in. I'm gonna make me something that I'll be able to buy
Exactly.
10 more cars.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to get your take on what car you would have. I like the Porsches. I mean, I even still think a Porsche is a status symbol, but like those GT3s are bad. That's a track car.
For sure.
You know what I mean? But
sure.
like, I mean, I do like those too, especially like with the crazy colors.
Yeah.
I think that makes the car it helps make the car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was always the car. I tell you what, Need for Speed, I was always getting a Porsche.
Yeah.
If there was a car, game back in the day, it was a Porsche. That was just what I was drawn to.
Which games did you play? Which car games?
Oh, well, definitely Need for Speed. All of those. Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo, that was my shit.
Shoot, man, yeah, it's been so long now. Those two were the main ones that I always played.
What do we always say about your car? Like, how do you know you're driving what you like?
Oh shoot! If you walk away and look back at it,
Right. If you don't look back
if
at
you
it,
don't look back at it,
Or
it
if you-
ain't the one.
if you hit the honk button, it's got that like.
yeah. I remember the first day I actually bought my first Hellcat, and I was living in the Gulch downtown.
Yeah.
And I remember pulling into the parking garage, and when I got out, I started walking away from it. I just turned around and just looked at her, and I was like, "Damn,
Yeah.
that's mine."
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good place to wrap. Well, we hope we shared some insight on some of the things that we're thinking. Obviously, relationships being one. Man up. For all those men out there listening, maybe you should man up. Competing. We had some other stuff we were going to talk about competing, but we're so far into this. Maybe we'll do a part two.
Yeah, we'll definitely do a part two. Just real quick, I'm gonna cut you off though. You guys did see that I'm hosting a workshop August 5th. Turner was going to be involved in that, but his daughter's birthday is that afternoon, which I'll be at. But guys, show up to that. Guys, men, show up to stuff. All right, women, support the heck out of women. We need more men supporting men. All right, so show up. Give back, whatever the case is, like just support, right? But I really want to help people with posing and with bodybuilding. And just real quick, like understanding a lot of the guys that are out there that are chasing the pro card, ask yourself, what does pro stand for to yourself? Because pro stands for being a professional. So that means you need to carry yourself day in and day out as a professional already in order to become a professional, right? So walk the walk, talk the talk, but August 5th, Carbon Performance in Franklin from 10 to 12 o'clock. We're going to be focusing a lot on posing, transitions, quarter turns. My wife, Whitney, will be there. She's a judge. She's going to tell you exactly what they're looking for in your division, okay? These things are priority. Turner can tell you that, right? Get judges' feedback. It's the only way to progress. Not what your coach says, not what your friends, your family say, the judges, because they are the ones that's going to judge you and see you. We're going to do a mock competition, and we got giveaways, and we got free stuff as well, man. It's going to be fun. Turner's going to be on the next one that we do, and we're going to be continue to try to do some of these workshops throughout the year, man. just to give back, you know, and just help you guys, man. Because you know, if you're really trying to take it to the next level, man, you know, you need to be able to check all the boxes besides just getting your meals in and training hard in the gym. Being on stage, that's where it's going to happen at. So August 5th, if you want to sign up, just shoot me a DM or Ramon. Ramon's going to be there with me with the men's physique guys. And yeah, just holler at me or him and even Turner, and we'll get you in there.
Yep. Like you said, Carbon Performance in Franklin. I do a lot of we do a lot of shooting videos there. It's probably the coolest place here to train. Shout out to Brent Laffey and those guys over there. They put together a really pretty spectacular gym. You know, I'm pretty fortunate that I get to train there whenever I want. And so, yeah, that ties it all in together, from bodybuilding to cars to relationships, manning up, and we're out.
Peace.
Fighting the system like a true modern day Robin Hood.